I started recording, Stephanie. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. All right, let's get all right. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us for this class today. We are faking it today. We are making faux stone. And I want to show you how easy this is to do with UV resin. So UV resin, here it is. It's a little bottle of magic here. This is a liquid that when exposed to UV light, it hardens. And so it allows you to use that with molds or with bezels to make a lot of different creative projects. So as I said, we're making faux stone jewelry today. And before we get started, I just want to walk through some safety precautions and the supplies that you'll need to set up your workspace. So first, a note of safety. If you have a sensitivity to resin or an allergy, definitely wear gloves. Make sure you're working in a well-ventilated area. You do not want to work next to an open window, though, with light shining through, because this product will start to harden. And so now a note about that. UV resin, as I said, is a clear liquid. If you've used other resins in the past, they are two bottles that you have to very carefully measure and mix together, and it takes a day and a half to cure. This is something totally new. There's no mixing, there's no measuring. It pours out of this bottle ready to use, and it cures within just maybe 2-3 minutes. So you get that instant gratification crafting. I can make a pair of earrings, pop them out of the mold, and put them right into my ear and wear them right away. So let me show you, if you want to switch to the top-down camera. These are some of the projects that we're going to be making today. So we have some necklaces that are made to look like geodes. And we have a special geode mold that I'm going to show you. Here's another one. And then we have some necklaces that are like crystal points, crystal daggers, and also some stud earrings. And so although this is made with UV resin, I want to show you two distinct techniques to get this sort of stone-like finish. Okay, let's walk through what I have going on here. So first of all, this blue thing, which I'm going to raise the camera up a little bit. This is a silicone mat. It's our extra large silicone mat. And that's great for protecting your work surface and dealing with any little spills. Cured resin does not stick to silicone, so that is a great thing to have. Next, we have our lamp here. You can see it's just a little mini bridge style lamp. It's got a power button here. When I hit that button, the lights come on, and I'll show you what that looks like. This is an LED UV lamp, and this plugs into a USB cord, which plugs into the same thing that your phone charges with, or it plugs into your laptop, and that's how it runs. And then we also have some silicone cups. Over here, I have a bunch of these cups because these projects that we're doing require multiple colors. So we want to have enough cups so that we can mix multiple colors at once. I also have some wood sticks over here to the side. This is for mixing in those cups for making custom colors. And then I have all the findings, the metal pieces that I need. I have necklaces, I have suede cording to turn our beautiful pieces into jewelry. All right, so let's jump right in to our project. So let me clear the area here. Thanks so much for joining. I do encourage you to use the chat function. I can't see every question that comes up, but the ones that I do see, I try to answer here live on air. So please feel free to ask your questions there. When you're talking to us, you are talking to the manufacturers of this product. We want to hear from you. Let us know how it's going. If you've tried it before, if you're going to try it, let us know. Okay, so here is, I'm going to show you what this looks like in the store. This is a package of two different druzy molds. You can see them there. And you'll notice on our package up in the top corner, there's always an example of what that makes. And then on the back, it shows you, we call these the positives. So this is the positive shape that comes out of this mold. And so those are the two shapes that that makes. And I'm going to show you those blue positives here. So this is just a one color. I've tinted the clear resin blue and poured that in. And so those are the shapes, but you can see the details that you get, all those little nooks and crannies in there to really simulate a piece of druzy. And we are going to jazz that up. We're going to embed some crystals in there. We're going to use some glitter, and then we're going to show you multiple color pouring technique. But these are the shapes that you get out of those two molds. And I will actually start with this. This is the shape that came out of this mold. And you can see that it has a hole in the middle. And so we use that to our advantage to be able to attach this piece of suede cording. I'll show you the back very easily. Okay, so first thing we want to do is we want to get our colors ready. So for that, I'm actually going to be preparing 3 different colors. All right, so I go in with my bottle of resin. Here we go. This is hard type resin. This is the most classic kind of UV resin out there. There are, we do carry a soft type resin, but 90% of the projects that you'll see for UV resin are with the hard type. And that just means that it cures to a hard plastic-like finish. All right, so I'm divvying out some of my resin here. I'm just pouring a good amount in each. And this one, I'm going to pour a little bit less. A little more in there. You can see from the pour that you don't get a lot of bubbles. I'm going to show you this one because I do see a bubble in there. See this bubble to the side? The easiest way to deal with bubbles, and it's more once I pour this into the mold, but I'm going to show you now. The easiest way is just to pop it. Oh, I got it on the first try. It's a good day today. You can see there's another, that's not a bubble down there. That's actually a little piece of dust or something that was inside this cup. But you can see bubbles aren't really a problem. You can whip bubbles in there when you're mixing it. We try to avoid that. All right, so next I have a little Post-it note here. And the reason I'm putting that down is because I have to create a turquoise color. Let me show you our tints. Okay, this is the product we're going to use next. These tints. And so we have, this is like our primary tint mix. We've got like black, white, red here. This is really the best way to add color to UV resin are these tints. And you can use other products to tint resin. For example, acrylic paint like this can work to tint the resin. You just want to be very careful and use a tiny, tiny, tiny drop of that acrylic paint because you don't want to mix too much tint in. I was playing around with this yesterday and it got to the point where I was mixing so much color that there was more paint in there than resin, and it doesn't cure right. So you don't want to do that. All right, so we have my Post-it note here. And the reason I'm doing that is because these tints are extremely concentrated. So I'm going to put a little dot here. That way I can just pull in a tiny bit into my resin. And I'm also going to put a dot of yellow. These are super concentrated. So I go in with a wood stick and I'm going to pick up just a tiny little bit of this blue. You can see what a tiny little bit I have there. And I want to show you how concentrated that is. Just that little bit really can color this whole bit of resin. All right, I'm going to do a little more blue. Oh, I got a good dab of it then. All right. And these silicone cups are very flexible. You can see that I'm kind of like even using the flexibility of it to wipe off the stick easily. Now I want to go in with yellow, and I want just a whisper of yellow in there. Too much and you'll get a green color really quickly. Tiny little bit of yellow. I can always add more. And I think I am going to add a little bit more. Just picking up that little bit on the stick. And you just want to keep working this until you get the color you want. I always keep a paper towel off here to the side so I can wipe my stick off. And then I'm going to add some white. And this, I'm just going to go directly in. This is to make it slightly opaque. I'm going to add 2 drops of white. You don't want to get this completely opaque. Here you can see the color a little bit better now that it has that white in it. You want to be careful with any type of completely opaque colors, because again, that will affect the cure time. Here we go. Maybe a little more yellow. I'm trying to be very ginger with adding the yellow because I have turned it green so quickly. There we go. I like that color. Pretty. Okay, so now we have that color mixed. And now I'm going to go in on this one with just another tone. So here I'm going to add 2 drops of white. I'm actually going to add a little bit of black. This one I'm going to add 3 drops of black because I want like a grayish color here. Actually, let me do another. And this is the fun, for me, the fun part is mixing all of these colors. I don't know about you guys, but I'm like kind of obsessed with color mixing. It's very satisfying to see those colors come together. Added a little bit of yellow. Let's add a little more. And some blue. And I will show you some examples. You don't have to worry about getting these colors exact. They will slightly change under the UV light. That UV light, especially if you leave it in the sun, it can affect the tint that you have put in. All right, so that one I'm leaving kind of a gray color. This one is going to be more of a black. So this is the cup that I put the least resin in. All right, so once you're happy with your 3 colors, you basically want kind of a medium tone, a lighter tone, and a dark tone. I'm going to add just a pinch of yellow into this, just to make it a little more greeny instead of blue. All right, so there's our 3 colors. And now I just pour. So it is really up to you how you want to pour this in. I'm going to try to just pour it directly on the top. A little bit of this one, a little bit of this one, and alternate to fill this up. And the kind of fun but also scary part of using silicone molds is I'm not exactly sure what we're going to get here. It's different every time you do it. It depends on how those colors mix and swirl together. It depends on which color kind of hits the bottom first. But I'm just going to alternate. And I can tell you that the more different your 3 starting colors are, the better, because then you'll get some, you can see here, you'll get some kind of fun little swirly things that are happening. Now that I have this almost filled, I'm going to give it a little squeeze. This squeezing just helps to make sure that I've gotten that resin into the nooks and crannies of this mold. So give it a little squeeze. I can also go in with my stick and just make sure that that it has flowed to all of the areas of this mold. At the same time I'm doing that, I'm also kind of swirling those colors a little bit. Also, what I can do is I can pick it up and look at the bottom of it and see if I can see that the resin has gotten to the nooks and crannies. And I believe it has. So I'm just going to fill this up to the top. I just want to make sure it's filled. I can even kind of do that a little bit, make sure it's gotten in there. And now I'm going to take my cups of resin because I have extra resin. I'm going to move them off here to the side because I don't want this light to hit them. All right, and then it goes under the lamp and we hit the button, and that button runs this for 1 minute. Your cure times. For something this dark and this kind of 3D, I definitely want to run that for about 4 minutes. And the reason is that you're curing with UV light. So if the UV light is blocked by tint, if it's blocked by flowers or blocked by glitter, it's just not going to get in there as quickly. So we want to make sure we give it plenty of time. All right, so I'm just going to let that go. And now would be a good time. If you had any questions, go ahead and ask them in the chat. And I will take one of your questions here. Do we have any questions for me, Anne-Marie?
We have a quiet bunch today, Steph.
You guys are so quiet. Don't be shy. We have a question from Linda here.
Yep.
Is there an odor to this type of resin, or will we need to wear masks? So you want to make sure that you are working in a well-ventilated area. You'll notice that I don't have a mask on. We work with this product. Oops, so that went 1 minute. I'm going to put it under again. Let me leave it here so you guys can see it. As long as you're in a well-ventilated area, I don't see a problem with it. We've had this product tested, very stringent testing. You'll notice that the bottle does have some warnings on it. The warnings are more about don't get it in your eyes. If you're allergic to it, it may irritate your skin, but that's if you have an allergy. So this has been tested, and we use it here every day and without problems. Okay, Betty had a question. You do not fill to the top. So I actually have filled that to the top. Let me show you the mold again. Here's another one. So inside this mold, there is like a little bit of a lip. I didn't want to fill it all the way to the top there. Here, I'm going to run it again. I'm just filling it to the top of this sort of depressed area in there and not filling it around here, because this would make it have like a halo, like a flat halo around it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to let this go and actually get started on my next colors, which is this. So you can see how different these colors are. We've got a pink, we've got a very light pink, and we've got this kind of a grayish. And there probably isn't a real stone that is these colors, but we're not dealing in the realm of real. This is our fantasy world. You can see how cool it looks when there's more color variation. I'll show you the back. More color variation than not. All right, so let's mix some colors. I'm going to hand this to you so that you could put that under the light again. I just don't want to have the light by my... All right, back to color mixing. So we are going to mix, again, 3 colors. Same thing, I want a light color, I want a medium tone, and a dark color. The one you'll want the most of is the medium tone. Get my little Post-it in here, And for this, I'm using our red. You always want to give these tints a really good shake before you use them. I'll put a tiny bit of red there. And what did I do with it? Okay, black. So we're going to go in with 2 of black here. We're going to do 1 of black here. Go in with some white and some white here. Okay, and a tiny bit of red. I mean, the tiniest little. There we go. So what we're going for is a light pink that is kind of like a rose quartz. See that it just warming that up a little bit. Okay, let's mix this one. Kind of like a light gray. And this one will be our dark gray. And I may not even use a lot of this dark gray color. And I think now that I see this, I want to have a little more red in it. All right, there we go. Okay, maybe a little more red. I'm questioning everything. Actually, I think I'm going to put some of this in here to make this more pinky. And then go in with a little more clear resin. And some more red. There, that's a little closer to what I want. Maybe a little yellow from our other Post-it. Okay. All right. Now let's get our mold. Here's another shape of druzy that we have here. And same thing, I'm just going to be pouring. A little bit of that goes a long way. Okay, moving my cups off to the side because they still have resin in them. So I don't want the light to hit them. Let me clean up my surface. All right, again, squeezing it to make sure we're getting in those nooks and crannies. And I'm actually going to fill the back of it because it's not quite filled all the way. I'm going to fill the back of it with just clear. And then if I have any air bubbles here, I see one here, I'm going to try to poke it. If I can't poke it, I can just kind of scoop it out. And this is ready for the light. Okay, so our first shape that we did, thank you. Here's our first shape that we did. And you'll notice when it is done curing, it is a little bit warm. So you want to wait maybe a minute because while that resin's warm, it's still kind of bendy. And then you can just easily get that out of the mold. And this is what we have. So you can see, like, I filled that mold really full to the point where I closed this hole. So that's a look. That actually is very cool. You could fill that with, you could make a really cool kind of like little seascape in there as if and fill it with water. But I'm just going to pop that out because I want mine to have a hole. So I can, you saw me kind of jabbing at it. I can also get at it with some nippers here. Just snip that out. Very cool. Let me keep this one running here. Oops. All right, so, but we are not done with this. We are going to add some more fun stuff. Let me move this off to the side because I do not want to cure this. Okay, so I'm going to take a little drop of clear resin onto my silicone mat. And then I have some fun bling stuff. So these are little like acrylic pointy back gems. We can also add some glitter. And then I can also add some gold flaky confetti-like glitter. So I'm going to add probably a little bit of each thing. So let me pour this out. And then I have those little gems here. Let me pour some of those out. You can see they come in multiple colors. All right, so I want to go in now. Now's the time to decorate. First, I'm going to decide which side is the top. So I think this is going to be the top for me. And then I can go in just with some clear resin and kind of, like paint those areas where I want my decoration to go. And then with the wet stick, go ahead and pick up a gem and put it in place. And I'm kind of choosing these gold gems because I want it to look like there's gold embedded in here. Let me pick one of these pink gems up and see. Pink looks good too. Kind of goes transparent on me. I think you can see these ones a little bit better. So let me use these. And it doesn't really matter what orientation these are when they go in. Some of them are, the back is up, some of them the side is up. It really is supposed to look organic. All right, so there, maybe some up here in this corner. Let me go in with some of these flakes. Also, kind of just adding them at random. The good thing about making faux stone is that it is organic, so you don't have to be very precise and proper here. It will look good almost wherever you put these. Okay, oops, get in there. This big one doesn't want to stick. Okay. I want to stick to my stick. Okay, there we go. And now just kind of to fill in the gaps in between those larger blingy pieces, I have some extra fine glitter here. So I'm just going to kind of, I can even put it on my stick and just kind of tap, and that'll give it a little more of a natural feel. Look how pretty it's getting. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay. All right, well, I think this one's ready. I did want to, I have a tissue off to the side here. I got a little extra resin. Just gonna wipe that off. Okay, so this is ready to cure. Bring my lamp in, and we're just gonna lock all of that work into place. Okay, while that's going, I'm gonna show you some other examples that we've done. So here is that same shape. This is just a single color pour where we've added some glitter into the color. So that gives you a different look. Here is another multicolor pour. So you can see the three colors were a blue, a little more of a green, a little more of a darker kind of charcoal. Those are the examples I have. This is another 3-color pour. This was black plus silver glitter plus gold glitter. So you can see the different kind of effects you can get. I'll show you this one up close too. How long do we put it under the UV light? Thank you for your question, Griselda. I'm going to put this under just to tack down this surface blinginess just for a minute. That's been under there a minute, and I feel pretty confident that, thank you, that is tacked down, and look how pretty. Okay, so here's our other one. We are going to pop this out, see what we have here. Ooh. Now this is slightly tacky still on the surface. So, and you'll find that to be true if you use these kind of more opaque colors. So I'm going to put it under the lamp just to let that work. And I'll show you this one, looking very good. All right, so to create the little necklace part, I'll show you how to do that too. So I have some suede. Everything that we're showing you is available at Michael's. Find the end of it here. All right, so I want this necklace to go over my head. So I'm just taking about, let's say about 32 inches, something like that, anywhere between 28 and 35 inches of faux suede cording and folding it in half and finding the center. So here's the center. And then I can just go through the hole. And this is a lark's head knot, but that's where you make a loop and put your ends through the loop. Pull those ends all the way through. And pull it tight. So that is really the easiest way to turn that into a necklace. Then I'm not going to make this, but I'm going to show you. Here's another mold. We've used this mold to make this little donut shaped piece. And that came out of that hole in the mold. And so I can just slide that on both ends. And this just adds another little design element, kind of upgrade this. You could use any type of large hole bead here. And that you just scooch that on down. And then you can just overhand knot, tie the back of it. And there's our necklace. Cute, love it. All right, so this one, you can see that it is very light in color. I'm loving the way that this looks. See this little extra bit here? I could kind of nip that off, but I kind of like the way it looks. It looks like coral. Oh, I'm loving this one. Okay, so let's put out a little more clear resin. And this is the fun part. This is where we get to decorate. Again, going in with the clear resin on the areas where I want to add bling. I'm going to add the pink bling this time. Hopefully it won't disappear on us. Oh, pretty. All right, if there are any questions, now's a good time while I just bling the shape up. You guys are so quiet. Don't be scared. Let us know also in the comments if you have tried this before, if you're a complete beginner, if you are going to try it, let us know. These are looking so pretty. We have this other kind of smoky color. Let's see. Oh, pretty. Okay, question from Lisa. Are we going to make smaller molds? We have so many molds available right now in stores and on michaels.com. And if we have time at the end, I will do a little show and tell of some of the different molds that we have. Okay, so those are all the little crystal-y bits. I think for this one, instead of the gold glitter, I'm going to use this iridescent glitter. and maybe some iridescent flakes. Do we have these in just the iridescent? I have my assistant, Rosa Vergara. She is with me every class. She's the unsung hero of Blue Moon Studio UV Resin. So all of the pieces that we make during these classes most of them are made by her, and she's an amazing jewelry designer. A comment just came through saying that she uses, and I didn't catch her name. She uses crushed glass to make realistic geode parts. Looking for this, that. Oh, actually, this is another example of some of the glitter. Let me show you some of our glitter that we do. So this is all part of, you'll find this in the same section where you find everything. These are all different specialty glitters. There are multiple versions of this. Here's another example. So these aren't your average glitters. These are either hexagon shaped or these are like star shaped. I'm going to be using this shape, which is like little bars, and just putting that down on my work surface, using resin to pick some up and just kind of jamming them in there. This one is turning so pretty. How pretty that is. Okay, so we're ready to lock that down into place. And I'm going to show you a different way of turning that into a necklace. So on the last one, it had a hole in the middle, so we were able to string some cording through there. Move this off to the side. I'm creating a mess here, but you know, what is a craft surface if it's not messy? It means you're not having enough fun. Kind of pick these up as I go. It goes back in here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to add a little loop to the top of this. So see these little, they're like little screw eyes that you screw into something, but we need to create a hole for these to go down into. So we're going to drill that out. We have a little hand drill here. Okay, we have a question from Susan. Is it necessary for the glittery area to be encased in resin? I didn't catch the rest of the question, but I'll try to answer what I think that you're asking. Yes, when you're adding glitter, you do want to add more resin with that, because then you can lock it into place. You could add that glitter with other adhesives, but you're not sure, you know, how long it'll take those adhesives to dry, and you're not sure if they will dry clear. So I think it's best just to use more of the clear UV resin to add those little bits. Okay, so here I have my hand drill, and the back of it goes into the palm of my hand. And I choose where I want to create my hole, which is right here. And then I just twist. And the hardest part is getting it started. Once you have it kind of started, it goes a lot easier. Oops. Oh, sorry, the top of my drill is loose. Thank you. There we go. All right. Drill in there. So you'll see as it starts to grip, you'll see the little bits of resin coming out. And I don't even need to drill this the whole way. I just want to drill it enough to get that loop in there. You can see where I did it. There it is. That's the hole. Okay, so let me get some of these little screw eyes. There it is. And attach it with, you guessed it, some more resin. So I'm going to pick that screw eye up with some pliers just because it's so small. And then dip the tail end here. And we're going to cure it in place. So here I'm picking up the lamp, and that way I can kind of just move this around. And that will be securely embedded there. Having the threads of that screw really helps you have more surface area for that to hold on to. You could do this also for you jewelry makers out there. You could do this with an eye pin, but having the threads on that screw really helped. Okay. All right, so there is my finished pendant. Now that I have a loop at the top, I can use a jump ring. These are the jump rings sold at Michael's. So these are 7 mm. Let me see what, I have one open already. Here we go. All right, let me show you how to use a jump ring, one of the basic building blocks of jewelry making. So for it, I want to use 2 pliers. And I situate the jump ring so that the break in the jump ring is up at the top. 2 pliers, one comes toward me, one goes away from me, and that's how I open a jump ring. And I connect that. And then to close it, I do the exact opposite motion. One goes toward me, one away from me. And now I can add a chain necklace. I can add a cord necklace. Michael's has so many necklaces that are already made. Let me show you one. So many necklaces that are already made. Like these are 18-inch necklaces. That way you don't have to, make these connections yourself. You can just string that on. And let me grab one of these. Just gonna cut these off the card. And then here's the necklace. Sometimes I'll be able to string this through. Let's see if this is big enough. Oh, if not, I can just, again, open that jump ring. Find the break. There it is. Open the jump ring, put it on the chain, close the jump ring. And there you go. It's a necklace. Okay. Wow, this class went so fast. Okay, so we have another technique to show you. So far, the technique that we used to make all of these was sort of a multiple color pour. This next one is actually only 2 colors, but I think that it most closely resembles stone. So we did that in these little nuggety things here. You can see I added a stud earring back to the back. And then we also have done this shape, doing that same swirly. See how that white is swirled in there? So let me show you what these molds look like. These are the molds in question. So there's 2 molds in there. Move these off to the side. I created a real mess here, Rosa. Oh, let me show you. Here they are out of the package. So this one makes this kind of pendant dagger shape. And then this shape makes these nuggety shapes. Those nuggets are perfect for making stud earrings. But you can see in the package, you get these metal bales. Those metal bales fit perfectly on top of your molded piece. So here's one of the bales. Oh, thank you. You're going to clean me up. Thank you, Rosa. This is Rosa. Thank you. So here is a piece that came out of the mold. Here's the nuggety piece. Not the nuggety piece. It's the bale. And you can see that it fits. These bales were specially made to fit perfectly on top of there. So I'll show you how that works. We're going to use this as my example. So I'm just going to reuse the colors from before. I'm going to give them an extra little stir here. And what I like to do is pour it into the mold. And I'm going to pour a little bit of this one too, with not really any rhyme or reason. And then I'm going to fill the rest of the mold with clear. I like using clear in my stone designs. It just, I don't know, it kind of gives it just an extra cool dimension. I'm filling that all the way to the top. A little bit more, fill it. And then I can go in with my stick to make sure I get the resin all into the corners, but also just to do a little swirl maneuver here. And then I can pick it up. I can look at it from the bottom and see if I like those swirls. And I'm just going to roll with it. I don't think I have that filled all the way up, but let's put a few more drops in. Okay, so at this time, I could take some flakes and kind of embed them in there. Let's try that. I haven't done that yet, so let's see. Taking a little bit of the wet resin, just going to embed some pieces down in there, because you can never have too much bling. And I know I'm doing this really quickly because I want to get through this and show you some of the examples I have off to the side. But I'm also doing it quickly to show you that it does not take long to make these things, and don't overwork it, don't overthink it. Okay, just some little flakies in there. Let's cure it. Okay, so while that's curing, I'm going to move these off to the side. Let me show you some other examples that we've made in that same shape. So here we just took some seed beads and embedded those down into the resin. Here we use some dried flowers. Some of these we attached to the top part, and some of them we haven't. This one also has some dried flowers, but also some pearls and little metal charms in there. Here we took some polymer clay, little fruit slices. That is so pretty for summer. Here we did this one has a necklace on it, all dried flowers, purple and turquoise dried flowers. All these flowers, all of the little charms, all of the glitters are available in this collection at Michael's. All right, so let me let that run. Okay. All right, so using that same swirl technique in the other mold here, in this mold, I was able to make these little nuggety. And this is pretty, if you look at it from the side, that is pretty convincing as a stone. You have the little swirly bits in there. Whoops. I think I have time. Let me go ahead and make one of these. So I'm going to take, I have these off to the side. I'm actually going to mix a couple of these together. And I'm not going to stir it the whole way. See, I'm going to leave it kind of swirly. Let's see what we get. All right, so there I filled that in. Let me put him under there and move these off to the side. Thank you so much, everyone that is asking questions. I'm sorry I'm not able to see all of them. But let me show you. This is the piece that I made earlier. So you can see that it has, let me put my hand behind it, that it has clear areas, turquoise areas, and sort of these black areas. And while these are curing here in the back, I'm going to show you how to add that veil. So I'm just going to add the resin directly to the piece here, kind of all around it. And the veil goes on. And I can clean up the resin just a little bit. Basically, this is ready. I'm going to steady it with this finger. This is ready to cure in place. Oh, you can't see that. Here, that's better. So I just have to steady it for maybe 10, 15 seconds until it grabs. So see, it's already grabbed. That is already on there. Let's bring these down. Okay. We are going to be wrapping up pretty soon. So if you have any questions, question from the chat, is that the hard resin? Yes, this is all these projects that we've made today are made with hard resin. Michaels does now carry soft resin, which this is what the soft resin looks like. You'll see it has that big call out there. Soft resin cures to more of like a gummy bear texture, but hard resin obviously cures to like a hard plastic. All right, so while we're waiting for those to cure, I want to do a little bit of show and tell of other things that you can do with resin, other things that using these kind of same techniques. We made these pieces using a seashell. So instead of using a mold, we put these in a seashell. You can see those same swirly techniques. How pretty are these? We have a space here where we're putting a magnet. So you can just use the UV resin to be an adhesive. So those are kind of a similar technique of swirling around. Let me show you what else we have. We can make hoop earrings. This one I bent, but hoop earrings with glitter, hoop earrings with this type of confetti glitter. This is more of an ombre. We have done bangles. These all are different molds that are available at Michael's. So here's a bangle with some dried flowers, with some little flakies. The question from Elizabeth, can you put the shells under the light? Absolutely. This one also has some dried flowers in it. These bangles are really fun. I also want to show you these pieces. You can use paper and stickers inside the resin. Now this piece was made, both of these pieces were made with a bezel. So that is the metal part, that frame. We have done several classes on introduction to bezels. Please take a look at those in the Michael's YouTube. It'll show you exactly how to do this. But this is a sticker that we bought at Michael's. This is obviously a printed out photograph. And we cut that to size and put that down inside the resin. Let's see. There's some more dried flower pieces. These both have a dark background. Let me show you the back. But you can see how the flowers pop on dark, and then they also look great on a clear background. These are all made with items available at Michael's. Okay, so this has gone for a few minutes. This one is definitely done. That one was just attaching that metal finding. So you can see the swirliness. This one has been in there for a few minutes. What you can also do is turn these over. Since the mold is clear, the light will still hit it through, and that way you can make sure that the back is getting cured as well. I'm going to do a final reveal of these pieces, but first, let me ask you to post your creations. We love to see what you make. We are always stunned by your creativity. Go ahead and post them on social media. So on Instagram, Facebook with the hashtag UV Resin Craft. Always use the hashtag Make It With Michaels for products that you make with your Michaels purchases. You can connect with me personally on Instagram at Stephanie Menor Creates. I'd love to hear from you and see what you all are making. All right, so let's see what we have here. This has gone for a few minutes. Let's go ahead and pop it out. You can see it better if I put my hand here. You can see that has that little extra little nubbin there. I can just kind of flick that off with my finger, or I can go in with and nip that off. But this is what we get. You can barely see that gold in there. I wish I would have put more gold now. And let's see what we have over here. So here we just demold. And that has a little more swirliness to it. All right, to turn this into a stud earring as we have here. I'll just show you how to do that as we're wrapping up. So that stud earring piece, those are sold at Michaels. This is what they look like. A little flat post. And let me get one out. And we attach that with, you guessed it, UV resin. So I can just use this as an adhesive on the back. Oops. Add my flat pad. And I do want to make sure the resin kind of like gets over the edges of that pad, because any resin that's underneath the pad, it's not going to cure. It's completely blocked by the light. So I just want to make sure that that resin is like over the sides of it. All right, and then I'm ready to cure. So I can hold it for just a minute until it grabs. And then let go. And this is the stud earring that I made earlier. And it matches my outfit, so let's put it on. All right, guys, we're wrapping it up here. We can switch to the other camera, so I have to say goodbye. Let me put my earring in. Ooh, cute. I love it. Thank you so much for joining us. We do these classes every 2 weeks. We would love to see you back on the next class. We always do a different kind of aspect. So next class, we're going to be getting into fall. We're going to be getting into Halloween crafting. We're going to be doing some Christmas crafting in the coming weeks and months. So please join us back here. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.